Do you think there is any deal that can be done with Iran that would please the more pro-Israel components of the political right?
So there's a few different things that I feel like we need to talk about to like include in the part of the conversation. So I feel like with Obama's deal, if I'm not mistaken, there was ultimately a timeline which down the line they were able to achieve a nuclear bomb. There was
It's the sunset provisions. The deal had to be renegotiated in 10 to 15 years. But that would
and still would have had the non-proliferation treaty.
There's also
they still would have been a signatory to the non-proliferation treaty.
Yeah, and I guess there's also the issue of Iranian proxies in the region, which is responsible of the death.
Well, but before we get to the proxies, just on this question of denuclearization, because I think the proxy question is a totally
because if we don't, so the consequences of not having an Iran nuclear deal though is significant sanctions on Iran, and then if we have those significant sanctions on Iran, they're not in a position to support their proxies as much. So that's why this gets tangled up in all of that.
Sure. Would you accept the argument that I actually care about the Iranian proxies considerably less than the Iranian nuclear program, and that I might be willing to trade Iranian proxy capability for knowing that there would not be a nuclear Iran?
It's a tough question.
Just as an American.
Because as an American, I know that these Iranian proxies have the death of more American service members on their hands than any bomb that they'd ultimately acquire. I think a tough thing that needs to be talked about.
They use it.
Right? No, a nuclear bomb?
I mean, an Iranian nuclear bomb that doesn't exist hasn't killed any American service members, but their proxy groups are responsible for the deaths of hundreds, depending on how you count it. I think a big question here, too, is how much of a threat is Iran really? You are in Congress. I'm sure you have more access to information regarding the threat from them. When they say things like death to America, and I mean, the fact that the Iranian Revolution was based on anti-Americanism, how serious should we take their threats? Are they just posturing to try to get, popularity within their country? Or do they mean it when they say this stuff and attack our troops in the Middle East? Some people say we shouldn't have them in there to begin with, but
I don't even take it all that seriously when people scream in my face. I certainly don't take it that seriously when they scream at me across several oceans.
So an Islamist, Shiite Islamist screams death to America, and you're not taking that threat seriously?
We just welcome the leader.
You know what I took seriously? You know what I took seriously? Their intercontinental ballistic missile program. And when they abandoned it in 2013, I took them considerably less seriously. Like I actually take the North Koreans a lot more seriously because they have a delivery mechanism. They have a re-entry vehicle. Even if Iran had a ballistic missile that could shoot at us, they don't have a re-entry vehicle to get a warhead back into the atmosphere. And so, like, when I look at their kind of chants and their naughty talk toward us, it just means less to me.
What about a guy who joined Al-Qaeda after 9/11 to go fight Americans in Iraq and then went over to Syria to found Al-Qaeda in Syria, and then he becomes the president and we welcome him to New York City? Like, do you have a problem with that?
That's just so Syria, by the way. I mean, Syria is the country.
Do you think my neo-Connery is going to go there? Like, I don't know.
No, I'm just saying.
Are you suggesting that I support the president of Syria?
No, I'm just saying that the talking points about death to America, their proxies being a threat to us, like, it's just clearly being used to push an agenda. When, on the other hand, in Syria, we literally just rolled out the red carpet for the leader of Al-Qaeda in Syria. And
do you think I'm a big fan of that?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that the talking points just don't work.
Israel's bombing Syria still, even though they have this new guy in office.
Yeah, even though they helped the regime change and celebrated it, and Netanyahu took credit.
So I don't know what your angle is.
No, I'm just saying that the reason why they wanted to oust Assad was because Assad was an ally of Iran. Correct. There was the weapons pipeline to Hezbollah, and they would prefer an Al-Qaeda guy in there over an ally of Iran. I mean, that's clearly true. I mean,
that's just good old-fashioned Shia-Sunni politics, right? I mean, the Saudis are thrilled with this guy in Syria because they view him as more closely aligned to Saudi than Iran.
All the Gulf countries,
This is very normative.
Matt, do you think that Iran shouldn't be able to acquire nuclear weapons, or do you think the president should have went into that nuclear deal with whatever percentages?
I don't know how we think we're going to stop any of these Gulf countries from acquiring nuclear weapons.
Especially
security guarantees. That's what it's been.
I kind of think that in our lifetime, Saudi's going to have a nuclear weapon. The UAE will have a nuclear weapon. Qatar will have a nuclear weapon. Iran will have a nuclear weapon. I think the era of proliferation in the Middle East is upon us. I don't celebrate that. I'm not cheering for it. But when you look at the democratization of talent around this space, you're not going to be able to keep that amount of money away from that amount of desire to have the deterrent that a nuclear weapon affords.
The Israelis cooked up the proliferation issue in the 90s.
You don't think that all those countries?
Yeah.
What?
You don't think all those countries acquire a nuclear weapon?
I think if we can get a durable deal with the Iranians, that they won't proliferate. I think if Netanyahu is allowed to toss over a country again, then Istanbul is going to panic, Saudi's going to panic, Egypt's going to panic, and I think then you will see a lunge to the bomb. And that's just
the
the
Saudis signed that defense deal with Pakistan.
Yeah,
which says they have a nuclear guarantee.
We've already seen the results of this. So if we actually care about nuclear non-proliferation, it is incumbent upon us to do a reasonable deal with the Iranians.
If we're saying F it, then what do you guys think?
I'm not saying F it.
No, wait,
you're
if
the
I
one
could finish.
saying F it.
If the idea is F it, everybody gets nuclear weapons, maybe, what about Ukraine getting a nuclear weapon? We wouldn't have to be
No, it'd be terrifying. I don't think Ukraine should have a nuclear weapon.
Okay, you seem more terrified about Ukraine having a nuclear weapon than you did potentially Iran getting a nuclear weapon.
A lot of times missing from the conversation, too, is the fact that Israel has nuclear weapons and
do they? I don't know.
I'm
kidding. I'm just having a good time. I'm just having a good time. No, seriously, then we would not need to send weapons to Ukraine, and they would have a credible deterrent if they had a nuclear weapon, right? So, what's the logic?
There are Republicans in Congress who hold that view. There are Republicans in Congress who do believe that we should create a strategic force for Ukraine that includes a nuclear component.
Yeah, I don't think we should.
Well, I don't think we should do this with any of these countries.
I don't think any of us.
Conversation over. Yeah.
Matt seems to be saying that he believes nuclear proliferation is inevitable, but
for rich countries, not Ukraine.
But
it's not that much.
But I don't think the argument is
for the countries that bribe World Cup officials. If you don't have World Cup bribe money, I don't know that it's guaranteed that you get a nuclear weapon. Yeah. But if you do, you're probably
they have some.
One.
They have real military capabilities, right? And they had a nuclear program 40 years ago.
Sure, we got them to abandon it.
But I think it is a false question, because there is a deal on the table where we could enter with Iran, and that they're not going to get a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, I think the president knows. No,
having the deal.
I think the president is more informed than you guys are on the specific nuclear deal, and I think he's getting a bad deal. You guys may think otherwise, but
you acknowledge he wants a deal. Trump wants an Iran deal.
Yes, he wants a deal.
And what would be the core features of that deal that Trump could strike with Iran that you could support?
I don't think they should be able to achieve the nuclear weapons.
Okay, so you have to take ultimate achievement of that off the table.
Yeah,
that's a term.
Ultimate achievement, and the supporting of proxy group needs to be a key aspect of this as well.
That's not a nuclear.
That's not going to happen.
That's not a nuclear deal.
Also, is every Shia who launches a weapon or sets off a roadside bomb being funded by Iran? I don't know.
But every Shia group that gets weapons from Iran and then sends them off as the Houthis. Wait, you know the Houthis?
No, I know they're backed by Iran.
Has been not only backed, their weapons
are going to continue to get moved though.
Yeah,
this is not a nuclear deal. It's just until the
Houthis make their missiles
suicide on television, we don't have a deal.
Until women don't have to wear a burqa.
They're not wearing them in Tehran anymore. They're not since the new president in June. If you talk to anyone who goes in and out of Iran, they're basically not wearing them. The Iran is a more secular country in a lot of ways than Saudi. I don't think it's even close.
Mm-hmm. What about ballistic missiles? Would you want them to have to limit their missile program?
Yeah, I don't think.
Would you accept a deal without that?
No.
Well, then it's not going to happen. They just
also
got
not a
bombed by
nuclear
the
deal.
U.S. and Israel.
We will accept total surrender.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be total surrender because guess what? We're not doing regime change, and they're lucky that's not happening.
But
look at the Maduro treatment that he's about to get right now. I think they should know that they're on thin ice.
I think they're aware. Congratulations. There is a religious gerontocracy atop their society. And they, in order to maintain some level of power, have to have some stability for their regime. I'm not justifying that, but asking them to throw over all of their cards, to use the president's term, is a non-starter. They'd rather go to war. And so basically the hardline position is setting up a deal so bad that we're going to go to war. No, and I think the war is way too risky. I think it's not in U.S. national interest. And I think we should avoid it.
What was that, Dave?
I think another war is probably coming pretty soon.
Yeah, I think it's like.
You know who one of the biggest forces was against extended involvement in that war? Charlie Kirk.
That's right.
And I say that not as an observer of it, but as a participant, because Charlie was the tip of the spear in this effort to showcase to the White House what would happen to the right if we were in some extended war with Iran. Charlie believed that so much of what he had built in getting disaffected young men to show up, register to vote for Donald Trump, would be thrown asunder if we went into some multi-year war as we had been in the 90s and early aughts. And he was so specific about it, he would coordinate when Steve Bannon would go to the White House, when Tucker Carlson would go, when he would go, when I would call, when other people would call, Charlie was such an effective operator that if he knew that he or I would be on television at a particular time discussing this issue and wanting our views to be understood by the president, he would do everything he could to get the people on Air Force One or in the Oval Office to flip it to Rav or One America News to absorb those messages, sometimes delivered by the two of you on my program. And I wonder what's going to happen without Charlie to hold that view and to express that view in what I think are probably pretty likely coming hostilities. Do you think hostilities are coming?
No, I think Israel mogged the countries, Iran and their proxies sufficiently. I think actually on the anniversary of October 7th, obviously we're talking now, but like the 2 years since then, obviously 2 years ago was one of the most horrific days in Israel's modern history, a bunch of war crimes. I think it was like 800 civilians and 900 not civilians in Israel were murdered by Hamas. But since then, how effective Israel was at taking out the Hezbollah. And then, I mean, in their exchange with Iran, I feel like Israel's gotten the better of that with the toppling of Assad in Syria, who was an ally, some would say a proxy of the Iranian regime. The Houthis have been tampered down a bit.
Yeah, they preferred the Al-Qaeda guy over Assad. Yeah.
So hold on. This is important, though. This is important. But so if you're wrong, though, if the hostilities reemerge in, say, the next 90 to 120 days, will you support them? Were you opposed to them?
What?
Well, because you just said they got mogged. You said that, so there's no crisis. There's no crisis anymore. So why did the Israelis?
No, I think a lot of people from your foreign policy persuasion like to fearmonger around things that happen around these situations that don't pan out. So, for example, a lot of people said during this exchange that it was going to be World War III was breaking out now, that they were exchanging, there's going to be boots on the ground, but none of that actually came to
without
fruition.
Charlie Kirk, it might have.
Yeah, and
the
war was cut. They cut
it short. Israel did not win that war.
You don't think
Iran
Israel got the better of that exchange?
They got the better. They killed more people.
Your impression is that
did you hear what I said? I said they killed more people, but they were striking Israel to the last minute. I mean, and they did some serious damage. Israel has not been hit by that before.
Yeah.
You think that
I think the Israelis running out. I think that they were running out of interceptors. I think the ceasefire at the end of the day was brokered on Israel's behalf, not on Iran's.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.